not a technically a software developer. It's kind of helping people kind of go from that stage of idea to product. You are a look at that. Look at that. This is a platform I'm going to build in that I've really started to fall in love with recently called Adalo, Adalo. This is Bubble.
In this episode, I sit down with Ken and he breaks down why people would use a no code solution. And he covers a couple different tools, Adalo especially, and a little bit more about Bubble. And then we kind of do some comparisons between like ChatGPT and like Lovable and different access methods that you can use. Check it out.
Welcome back, peeps, to codingcat.dev podcast. I have Dan with me today. How's it going, Dan?
Hey, Alex, I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Doing great. I'm trying to stay warm and dry. I think we talked pre-show. It's been like an ice storm north of me, tornadoes south of me, and I don't live in Oklahoma, so it's weird.
Yeah.
How about you? How are you doing?
Not bad. I'm trying to stay warm. I'm here. I'm in Pittsburgh, and it's just like tomorrow's the 1st of April, and it's still cold, and it honestly just irritates the living crap out of me. So I'm ready for summer. I've been ready for summer for months. So I'm just ready to be warm.
It's been a long winter for sure.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Cool. Dan, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Kind of just a quick, history of Dan and like what brought you to this point.
Yeah, when I saw your show, we met on Podmatch, which is a big platform I'm a huge fan of. I plug it in every show I'm ever on. But I was like, I got to come on. This sounds like such a cool show, something very interesting to do. Because I'm a software developer, but I'm not. I might offend some people when I say my next thing, because I'm really a developer inside of what I do, no code software development. So not technically a software developer. You like my Austin Powers accent there. But that's what I do. I got into no code software development through kind of a series of I shouldn't say unfortunate events, but a series of events that have taken place in my life. I never planned on going this route. I never planned on doing all of this. But it just kind of turned into something over time, and it's been a really cool journey. But I live here in Pittsburgh, PA, as I mentioned, with my wife, and we have 3 dogs. And she's a NICU doctor. So we kind of were on our journey with her, going from medical school to residency to fellowship to job to all this stuff. And over that time, I kind of built my business, which is completely remote and allows me to kind of be flexible and do whatever I do, go wherever we go, because of that moving kind of happening all the time. But what I do then specifically is I've gotten into building, responsive web applications, native mobile applications, entire SaaS platforms for a lot of my clients. And then also, even like we're going to kind of dive in today, hopefully, some micro SaaS platform products as well. Just kind of helping people kind of go from that stage of idea to product. There's all kinds of different phases inside of launching a product. Maybe you're trying to gain funding, or you're trying to go public. We don't really work with a lot of those people. It's more like the incubator stage of, hey, we got an idea, let's build it, let's do something. Because that's how I got into this. Was I had an idea back in the day, and I didn't know how to code, and I didn't have any money. So then these no-code tools became something that said, hey, launch a product without having to code and without having a ton of money. And I was like, perfect. That sounds like a winner to me. So that's kind of how I got into this. And then I realized that there was a very big need for this. It was a growing market. And I turned it into something that I could make side money on to a full-time business. So that's pretty much my quick and dirty story of how I got into all of this.
So when you kind of like turned left, you were originally you went to school, poli-sci, and like that whole kind of phase.
Yeah.
Where did it like quickly turn for you? Was it like your first job started getting you into these things, or it was literally just, hey, I have this idea, and like that's kind of what drove everything?
No. So I met my wife in college. I was a year ahead of her. I moved to DC, got a job down there. I was a background investigator, which was really cool. For like the government and the OPM and stuff. That was pretty neat. But then she got into medical school down in Blacksburg, and we were long distance for a while. And I just really wanted to get out of DC. Wasn't a big fan. I grew up on a farm, so like DC was a culture shock to me, big time. So I ended up through some people I knew. There's like, hey, I know a person down there. There's a big firm. It was through Deloitte. Said, hey, we can get you a job. It's probably like a customer service type job, but at least you're in there and it's a good firm to be a part of and everything.
Totally.
So I was like, okay. So, but I took this, it was like a customer service answering phone support type of job. Like having no idea how to even like really use a lot of computers, and like you kind of have to know a lot what you're doing kind of to do that type of job. I almost lost that job, to be honest, because I just like could not learn it fast enough. And then my boss was like, hey, you need to kind of figure this out, and buckled down, figured it out, got into there, started doing well. And then I got promoted out of that job to a quality assurance job. So they had a software development piece in that firm there. And that where a position opened up where it was a manual QA tester. So that was my first really intro into software development. Even though I wasn't developing the software, we worked on like responsive web applications for the Army. And I got to poke around and I got to try to break them and try to do manual testing and even some automated testing and just different things. And that was my first intro into like, oh, wow, software is really cool. And I learned about Agile and I learned about Scrum and I learned about, we got to use Jira and we got to use all these things, so that was my first intro into it. And then, I mean, I had a lot of left turns, just like where you turn left, because, I got into sales for a little while. I worked for an advertising firm for a little while that did Facebook ads for lawyers, and kind of took all of those skill sets and combined them into what I do now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't just one left turn. Yeah,
yeah, many lefts around the full track.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people like they want to get into a technical career and like they go to school for something else and they're like, I don't want to be a coder. And it's like, you're a prime example, I think, of someone that like you're in a very technical space. You did all the agile things, like, all the development space, but like you're not a coder. And I feel like we're at this pivotal point right now where AI is going to start doing a lot more code for us. And we can talk a little bit about like once we start going through this, but I'll be curious in the next couple of years to see more and more people that like are logical thinkers. They think at like a technical level, but they don't want to code. And I think we're going to see a lot more of those folks going through like this no code kind of setup, and as well as AI. So
what if there was a tool where you could just kind of type in, hey, I have a cool idea for this like little SaaS product that I want to do, but instead of Googling it, instead of just going through ChatGPT, what if there was a specific tool that could give you stats on it and market ideas and feasibility and startup costs and plans and break it all down? And I was like, ooh, I think that'd be a cool idea. So this is a platform I'm going to build in that I've really started to fall in love with recently, called Adalo, Adalo. So it's a lot of people, when they think of the no code space, they think of Bubble. Bubble is a very, very, it's one of the premier platforms. I have just come to use Bubble a little bit. So I can, and maybe I'll catch some flack for this, I'm not sure, but there's the Apple products and the Android products, right? You have like kind of the your either or kind of thing. Bubble, I like to say, is the Android. It's the Google developer. There's a lot more advanced things you can do, a lot more sophisticated things you can do. Adalo is kind of the Apple of no code builders. Like, it's very simple. But it's still available to build pretty complex things. But it's just the UI is just so much simpler. So it's kind of the Apple-esque of things. So basically, I'm just in Adalo. I've signed up for an account. You guys can go to. I should get paid for this, to be honest. I promote their stuff so much.
Yeah, let's get some coupon codes. Let's get some partnership rolling.
I know. I do have their developer account, so I do resell. If people come to me and they want to build an app, we'll build it in here, and I get paid for that, but not anything affiliate or anything like that. But basically, I would just come in. I'm going to create a new app. I'm going to make it desktop. They have a couple of templates, not anything like I would probably build off of, but I'm just going to do blank, and let's call this AI powered, or I'm sorry, AI micro SaaS generator. And we'll call this mostly me. And we can play with the branding and all the different stuff. That's what's one of the cool things I love about these tools, is you can just set the branding and the fonts, and then it updates everywhere, which is a super, super useful thing, right?
And
So
for,
usually,
for Adalo, they're kind of mainly focused on like apps as a whole, or is it like mobile focused, or just kind of anything?
yeah. So that was one of my things. So I started building full time like in Bubble, and what I found at the time, that things have changed, but at the time, Bubble was not native focused, and I was very focused on native mobile apps. And Adalo was the solution for native mobile apps. It makes it so much easier when you go to publish to do Android and iOS apps. With Bubble, you had to wrap it. You had to wrap it kind of in like a there was wrapper tools out there, and that honestly was a huge pain. And that's why I've been kind of Adalo has a new 2.0 responsive engine, where you can build the native and the progressive web app responsive app and tie them together, which is why I really like it. But Bubble is coming out with a new mobile app builder, native builder too now. So like you said, in the next few years, it's going to all be kind of seamlessly integrated with each other. It's just kind of interesting to see all the different platforms, what they each specialize in, and how all that works. But yeah, that's why I really loved Adalo, is because it makes it so much easier to do native apps. But yeah, one of the cool things that happens is you get basically your entire login and sign up process built for you. It's very bland. It's very dry. As you can see, it's just a login and sign up feature, and then it goes to a homepage. So you can play with that. You can do different things to it. We could call this, I could come in here. And it's very, very simple and intuitive to like use. And that's why I love it. And I'll get into something here, but what was this called? AI, or let's call this micro SaaS generator. I don't know. You can always change it. You can change the image, all this stuff. So, all right, let me ask you, Alex, when you sign up for this, what's like the first thing you would expect that you'd want to have happen? Like you see this cool thing marketed, and it's like, hey, build your own micro SaaS. Like, what would you expect to happen?
Like I would actually want an example of it first, like kind of a taste. Like, so if I could put in my idea and have one of them validated, and it's like, oh, you want more? Go to login. Like that's kind of what I would do in my head.
Interesting. Okay, so let's try this. Let's put in. I mean, basically, to build the. I mean, I think like, and that's what I was thinking through. Like, I think a lot of the audience here, this would be very useful as like an idea generator, an MVP type of generator.
Yeah.
So let me try to think. I'm thinking, when I go through and I build stuff, the first thing I do, I don't know about you, but I build database stuff first. But that's just kind of the progress I've gone through. But let's skip that for now, because we're just kind of messing around and having fun. But all right, let's add something like well, actually, you know what? One of the cool new things Adalo has is these pre-built sections. So they have like we can add this right here. And it's super nice because it gives you like this whole shortcut. So I could say this. Let's do welcome. Micro SaaS idea generator.
I feel like I'm getting the sense like this is very much like if people are coming from WordPress or anything like that, they should be fairly used to creating blocks and fun stuff like that.
Yeah. I always tell people, if you can click and point and you can type, you can build this. Okay, so then we have, like you said, your example up here. Let's actually just move this button down. And like you said, let's do an input here. Whoops. Let's do an input where you would just like this is like, hey, landing page. Where's my search? Here we go. So we'll build this to be a nice text box here. Make sure that it is multi-line. And we'll put a placeholder in of like, type your micro SaaS idea here. Okay. And then let's do like try it out. So simple. All right, now before we do the sign up, let's actually just delete these because we could put those at like the top or something. Let's do another where the what's the word I'm looking for? The result's going to show. It's going to populate down here. So let's do result here. And we'll make sure that it has multi-line ability. So the cool thing about Adalo is now they have like a direct OpenAI connection where all you need is your Open API key. So I already have that. If you don't have that, you can obviously get that for yourself. But if you have the key, you can basically come into settings and there is API keys down here and you just plop your Open API key right in there.
How extensive can like keys and stuff like that get? Can you add like Google Gemini, or is it only specific ones they support?
Well, is it only specific ones? No. So this is one. Again, they have a direct, like they have two right here that are just like plop in Open API key and then Google Maps API key. But that doesn't mean that you can't add different ones. So like that, I haven't even got to that, but like with the database stuff, you can add your external connections over here.
Cool.
So you can add pretty much anything. They just have it directly in over here, so you can just do ChatGPT stuff very fast.
Cool. That makes sense.
Cool. All right. So now I think we have that. So basically what I'll do is on the click action here, but we'll do click action. I want to, there is a custom action here, ask ChatGPT, right? So as soon as I put that piece in there, I can run custom actions, and I just needed to ask ChatGPT. And then it's very simple. So all you do is put your prompt in here, and you don't even need history, but you would just put and this is your prompt engineering, right? So you are a SaaS specialist and world-class product designer. Based on the input below, provide me with a viable and realistic micro SaaS business and feasibility plan based on this structure. And we'll do idea decency. We'll do market feasibility. We'll do projected startup costs, difficulty, or let's do market saturation. And anything else you could think of?
I think that's really good, honestly.
Okay.
Maybe like even a name, like business name or something. I don't know.
Okay. Here is the information. Okay, so then what I'll do is I'll just say we need that input. And then boom, there you go.
That's dope. I love that.
So one thing I always forget to do is my naming conventions. So we'll do like SaaS input idea. And then this.
Can you set this input as like a read-only field as well?
Good question. Yeah, I believe so. So we'll do response. So let's see, where is that?
Yeah, it's no big deal if you can. I'm just curious how much flexibility in these things there is.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good. Actually, you know what? I have a better way of doing this. So there is this is another cool thing with the no-code tools, and another revenue stream for actual developers out there is components. So Adalo and Bubble as well have what's called this component marketplace.
Cool.
And this gives you shortcuts. This gives you a million different shortcuts like Apple sign in, Google sign in, audio players, all these different things. And then there's even premium ones that people will resell, right? Like I've bought, accordion lists and Tinder-esque swiping files and components and different things like that,
So these are like community driven that you can either $0 here, I'll give it away, or like actually make money off.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them that are free are actually like built by Adalo or built by Bubble.
Yep.
And then these ones are community ones. So there is pros and cons to think about, because I know there's people that are like, I never use custom components because somebody could just take it off one day and then my whole app's broken, which is something to consider. I know that I actually recently spoke with the CEO of Adalo, and they've really started to revet people and really change how this all works. So a lot of these should be even supported, long term and stuff.
Yeah.
So they should have higher quality, but that is something to think about,
In my mind, like $1 should say once published, you can never take it down either.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, I've had that happen before, where they weren't taken down, but they were temporarily unpublished. So if there was bugs or updates, like I hadn't purchased one yet. I had my eye on, and I was like, "Oh, I need to get that." And I go and I search for it, and I'm like, "Where is it? Where did it go?" And then the next day it's back up, and it was just because they were doing maintenance on it, and it was temporarily down.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
that's something to think about. But what I do a lot actually is there's one called typewriter text. So it actually looks a lot like Adalo, or I'm sorry, it looks a lot like a ChatGPT.
Sure.
So it'll
Yep.
actually just typewriter it, right? So what I'll do here is let's do the animated text. Okay. So this is where we're going to need to do a database thing. So I'm going to add a collection just called micro SaaS ideas. And we're going to give it a title. We'll give it the description. You could link it to your user, so you would only see the ones that you have, but I won't worry about that one yet. But you can do relationships. That's what's cool about this. So we'll just say, like, I can have multiple micro SaaS ideas, but an idea belongs to one user. So we'll do something like that. And okay, so simple. So now basically what I'm going to do is say, okay, asking ChatGPT, and then we're going to create a micro SaaS idea with no name yet, but the description will just be the Ask ChatGPT response. So whatever the response that comes back is going to be that. And the owner would be the logged in user, which actually won't be anyone because this is a welcome page. So we don't even actually have to worry about that one yet. But then what I'll do, actually, let's put this on a different page. That way we can, that's one thing about these, is you kind of have to pay attention to the data flow. And if data flow is going the wrong way, it can screw everything up. So we'll do sample response page. Okay. So there's that. And then what we'll do is then add that typewriter. Oops.
This is probably too late now, but like, could you have copied and pasted or just like dragged that onto this page?
What?
The typewriter like response part of this.
I could have, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I could have. Yeah, I didn't think so. Didn't think to do that. So, all right. So let me go back to the welcome page. So basically what I'm going to need to do instead of, so we're going to need to link to that sample page. And then we're sending that idea. Okay, so we're sending that data. So now we can pull that data with this. And the animated text is going to be the description. There you go. So that is a way to have that work. So, all right. And then another thing that you can do with this, so we only want to make this right so it doesn't delete it all. And then let's make it go as fast as it can go. Cool. All right, let's test this bad boy. Let's see how it works so far.
Yeah, I'm really curious on the multi-page with this response.
Yeah, and then you could do it on the same page. That's one of the things, one of the downfalls with the no code approach sometimes that I've found is that there's a lot of different visibility things. There's a lot of different quirky things as far as data goes on the same page. So doing this, like populating below, it's doable. I've done it in apps, but it can be just a little bit different. Oh, my mouse started working again. Yes. Okay. Give me a micro SaaS idea, Alex. Give me something good.
Video clips for YouTube.
Okay. I have an idea for a video clips software. I want to upload a recording of, or I'm sorry, I want to insert my YouTube link into the software and have it generate 5 to 10 viral ready clips for me using AI. Let's just do that.
Cool.
I hope the keys to, oh, look at that. Look at that. Based on the information provided, here's a viable and realistic micro SaaS business plan for the video clip software. Idea decency. The idea of a video clip software that generates a viral ready clip from YouTube using AI is promising. It addresses the current need for content creators who want to maximize reach of their videos through sorting engaging clips. Do I have to, I can't.
No, don't read it all.
But yeah, so it did the exact structure. Idea decency, market feasibility.
Clip vibe, viral link clips.
There you go. Yeah, it could be clip vibe or viral link clips. Feasibility plan, market research, development. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's really dope to be able to like just throw something like this together. Like from a technical perspective, I would start having questions like, this seems like a single page application because you like made a call even though it was on one page and then it like went to the next page for the response. But it's kind of one of those things I'd have to like dig into it and know as a developer, like how did it actually handle this and like how far can you take it and stuff like that. So
yeah,
if you were to like
go
continue
ahead.
to build this out, would you then say, well, we want to be able to store these responses and a user needs to be able to log in? Are you like adding Firebase to a Supabase, something like that? What does that typically look like for you?
Yeah, so typically we're just using the database inside of here.
Okay.
Especially for some micro SaaS ideas, because so Adalo used to have it where you were capped at collections and actual records, which they now thankfully have realized that was not a scalable way to go. So these are not capped anymore. So you can technically scale as much as you want to. I do know that they're at least the Adalo platform itself it's always kind of been hamstrung by scalability concerns and slowness concerns when there's lots and lots and lots and lots of records.
Okay.
So I have been working with a couple of people who are connecting Supabase, Firebase, other databases, even Xano, because you can do Xano with HIPAA compliance as well too. And they have a partnership with them. So
do you have any ideas like what their database actually is, like under the hood at all?
As far as who?
Adalo. Like when you have like your micro SaaS ideas, like do you know what that's actually stored in, or are you just like, yeah, it's a thing, it's fine?
I mean, it's basically a CSV kind of database structure.
Okay.
It's again, I'm not a super big database knowledge guy.
Totally fine. Yeah, I was just kind of generally curious if they're running like a Postgres database under the hood, and you could do joins or like whatever. It sounds like possibly it's like getting into document rows and collections and stuff. So maybe it's MongoDB or Firebase or something. So no big deal. I was just curious.
Yeah, but it makes it super simple because like, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll import bulk records, and it makes it simple just as a CSV, so you can just kind of bulk upload things, bulk download things. And again, it's not the most advanced thing in the world, but it's allowing you to go a lot faster. You know what I mean? That's kind of the whole point of all of it. But yeah, and that's one of the neat things you can do then is you could keep track of all of these. You could go back in and edit them. That was one thing I was ready to say, like there was a couple apps where we built kind of like a ChatGPT clone where there is now, okay, we've created that. Great. Now we have that response that came through, but then I want to be able to chat with it just like I do with ChatGPT or Gemini, and I need to be able to edit it and change it and manipulate it and do whatever. So then that gets to be a little, different and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of cool things you can do.
That's really neat. What about authentication? How would you add something like that in?
As far as what, like two-factor?
Just general, like I need an app. I need a person to be able to log into it. Or like you got your first response free. Now, if you want to keep iterating, we're going to put a pay structure behind it. And so therefore I need the user to log in. Is that, I mean, it looks like it's completely capable. What's that typically look like for you, or have you built login type apps?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what if I'm understanding you correctly, that's kind of what like the sign up and login pages are kind of for. We've actually done it where you can pin protect the app as well. So you can even just create like we did that for we did that for an internal wall, like that we built like an advertising space for like the vendors of an app. So like everyone had access to the same application, but then there was like a secondary, it wasn't really a paywall. It was kind of like an invite only. So we pin protected that, right?
Sure.
So that's one way you can do it. You can add 2FA to this. You can do email, validation. You can do role-based access for all those things.
And is that like external like setup, or that's all done within Adalo?
It's all you can do in here. You know what I mean? So,
Okay.
so what I could do is give, I could just I could either add a new collection or just add like a property here that just says role. So then when someone signs up, I can just set that to automatically be a certain value. Like for the one where we got the API from, it's a rental application where there's landlords and there's tenants using it. So based on whatever, like, hey, I want to sign, there's a button that says sign up as a landlord, sign up as a tenant.
Yep.
And then boom, that takes them to there. It sets their role automatically and it gives them access permissions and visibility access based on whatever button they clicked and which way they signed up.
Nice.
So,
Have you done any like social IDP logins like Google or Facebook?
Yeah. Like I mentioned, there was a couple of the free ones in here that you can add are Apple sign in and Google sign in.
Cool.
I haven't messed around with the Facebook sign in or TikTok or X or anything like that.
Sure.
But I believe there is like I think you can just embed like a Twitter feed, embed a Twitter timeline with customized settings. So that's not really like a login, but it will like protect your, like, hey, log in first before you can see this feed kind of thing. So you can embed all that stuff.
I was just curious, like how far you can take, like, have a marketing page for like a SaaS, that has kind of what we're doing and some additional details, but then like you want to actually use the application. So now we have some protected routes that are kind of in our application. As you kind of get in further, like your tenants, that's a perfect example to kind of understand. What is like the layout for that look like? Do you have like a page here for login and then stuff trickles underneath it? How does that work in Adalo?
I'm not sure I understand. So you're like for the login stuff?
Yeah, like a post login, where would you put your profile page, or like where would you put here's all of your tenants, or whatever that next page might be?
Yeah, I would show you that app if it was launched. Unfortunately, it's not launched. I have an NDA, so I can't really show you. And I did kind of have a little bit on here, but I'm sure you wouldn't mind. But yeah, so like that's one of the cool things you could do here. So you could even have like this top navigation bar, and you have a profile image right here, right? Okay. So you have like a lot of times what I'll do is I'll have you're on this welcome page. And we put a sample here. So usually it's just sign up or log in, right? You come into this sign up page And now you have, okay, let's set up your email, your name, your password. And then a lot of times what we'll do is like an onboarding sequence of screens.
Sure.
So instead of just going right to the homepage, there might just be like a secondary page. It's like, okay, upload your profile picture, tell us about yourself. A lot of fitness applications have 9,000 questions, right? Like what's your height and weight and what's your BMI and all this other stuff, whatever. And then what that's doing is just updating that record in the database. And then boom, now you have, okay, let's log in. It goes to a page with links and whatever. You can access your profile from there. It's already built and updated, all that stuff.
And if you tried to like hit this page, you would set up like the settings for that individual page to say no if you're not logged in, reroute back to homepage or something like that.
Yep, and you can do that. So what they have here is you can set this as the home screen, which is the first screen if a user's logged in, and then you can also set the first screen if a user's not logged in. A lot of times what we'll do is build a splash page as well, which can basically redirect based on whatever is going on with that. So that's always very useful to do, because then what you could do is say like, okay, if they hit the login page, you can say, hey, when a user visits the screen, take them to the home page only sometimes if the logged in users ID is not equal to empty. Like if they have an ID, boom, there you go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's why I was curious.
Something like that.
That's cool logic. I'm curious, just from what you've experienced so far between like Adalo and Bubble, it seems like they've shifted, and maybe you haven't had a chance to get to this yet, but in more of a technical space, we have things like built.new, or there's a couple different AIs that will like create all of the code for Next.js application or something like that. I think when you and I were checking out Bubble the other day, like they've changed to like have that prompt up front.
Yeah.
Is that something you feel like you're going to start utilizing more, where you're telling it everything about the application that you want it to build, and then have that either as like a starting point or like an iteration point to keep going back to? Have you had enough time to try that out?
Yeah, so they actually have that available right now. I think we talked about this before. So there is a new way you can start from scratch. This is Bubble, but there is a way to start from scratch, and then there's a way to start from AI. Like we had mentioned before, the problem that this creates is that, okay, I can go in and I can create this stuff. I even was playing around with a tool I have called UI Izzard, and it's a just way to build like prototypes and frames based on AI. And you can just say, hey, I have this micro SaaS app idea, and then boom, it gives you all the wireframes.
Yeah, nice.
The problem is, again, it's built, and then I want to go in and edit it with AI, and I can't. Okay. Right? It's it builds the frame, and then you just are kind of left with still figuring out how to learn the software. Yep. What Bubble's doing, I know later on this year, they actually have a thing. I think I just closed it out. Like I think next week they're going to do an Ask Me Anything or whatever, where they're going to say, okay, now that you've created it with AI, now you can go in and say, hey, this list isn't populating the correct information, or I want to add another filter here. It's all prompt based building.
Yeah,
it's completely awesome. That's honestly, I'm really, really interested to see how and if that's actually going to work. My dog's crawling through the fireplace to come into our room. She does that. It's so funny. I so I've played with it. It's okay so far. It's early stages like everything, but yeah, it does a halfway decent job.
That's great. Yeah, from a developer perspective, like we're kind of in the mode now where we'll go into like Cursor and kind of, create something. You can even say like, I want X amount of pages. It'll create pages, like all of this stuff. And to your point, it's now we're in that phase of like, yeah, that's not quite right. Can you, and like you re-ask kind of exactly what you're looking for, and it'll relay out that page exactly with what you want, connected data points and all of that on a very technical level. So it's kind of cool to see these like no code applications doing a lot more of that. I think I told you before, I used to work at builder.io, and they're like a CMS that is a no-code solution, but at the end of the day, it actually produces JSON that you can like load into a Next.js application. You can, swap out pages or sections or, whatever level of that you want. I'm curious on like Adalo and things like that. What is the typical like publish workflow for you? Like you're handing this off to a client, it's kind of completed. How are you publishing the site? How are you maintaining things? What does that look like on your end?
It's a very good question. So I have actually recently changed a lot of what I do with this because, like I mentioned, so I have the highest level account with Adalo. So I have a developer account. I can basically publish, as you can see my list here. I have like a bajillion apps that I've done, but basically those are all inside of the developer account that I have. So when we take on a client, we're building it inside of here, just for access control and just making sure that I've made the mistake before of opening it up to the client during development, and that was one time that was a terrible mistake, and I'll never ever do it again. But basically, then what I've done is I've kind of said, okay, there's three options or really two options with option 2A when it comes to publishing this off. Like, let's say we've built this sucker, we got it, it's like awesome, we've tested it, it's good to go. Basically, you come down here to this publish button and you just toggle this on, and then you have to upgrade the account, and you can have a free account forever until you're ready to publish it. So there's a couple of things we do, because normally what would be done is we'll get a hold of Adalo and we'll say, hey, we have this app ID, and we'll have the client create their own account, and then we just transfer that and we offload that into theirs.
Oh, okay.
And then they can kind of have the app and do whatever they want to do with it. Then they pay the hosting fee, they do whatever. They can then invite us in to be developers for that if they need help, or they need, like, hey, I need to republish this thing, I need to update this thing, this bug is happening now, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of option A. Option B is we actually will just rent out our developer space.
Okay.
So for a little bit more money, I have two different plans. It's kind of like a basic essential hosting plan where we'll kind of host it. We'll do some more, strategy. We'll make sure stuff's working. It's kind of very hands off, but it's like we still provide more value. And then we'll do a more hands-on one where it's like, hey, we'll make sure that everything's running. We'll update it as needed. We'll do specific, once a month updates, reports, kind of the whole 9 yards. Make sure that it's just tip top and working, because that's the problem I notice that a lot of people have with these is, like, even if a lot of people we work with are non-technical, so when I say, hey, we're going to transfer it to your account, off you go, they're like, I don't really know how to do that,
Yeah.
So
and does Adalo, like, if I have domain names and stuff like that, you can just CNAME over to them, or what does something like that look like?
Yep. So you come in here to settings and you have domains down here.
Nice.
So then boom, you just add a CNAME, and then boom, you publish it. And then you can just come over and you can say whatever domain you want to tie it to, and off you go, and you publish your web app, and you're good to go. And then that's what's really cool with the Android and iOS publications. Like, I'm doing this for a client probably after we get off of this, is getting their Android and iOS. We publish their web app as kind of their beta test, so we could just publish it real fast, and she could give it the link to people to use and do whatever. And now that we've gone through the beta testing and they like it, we're going to publish it on Android and iOS. So we just get those accounts set up. They do, you do have to set up your own developer accounts, which is definitely something we charge for. So
yeah, I bet. does the Android and iOS apps, is that like breaking down in native, or is just kind of putting a wrapper around a web?
No, these are not wrapped, at least on Adalo. These are native applications.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's why I really like this platform a lot better.
I think you talked a little bit when we met before about Flutterflow as well. Any comparisons there, pros, cons?
Yeah, that might be more attractive to a developer crowd, to be honest. I've played around with Flutterflow a little bit. I'm not a huge fan, only because I'm not that versed in Firebase, to be honest. Like, I've used it. I'm not as proficient at it as I wish I was. I kind of outsource that from time, when I really need to. But it it does allow for a lot more, um, like the UI can be a little bit cooler, I think, than even Bubble and Adalo. Like you can do a lot,
Sure.
it can do a lot more things that I've seen. It can, but you really have to know, you have to have a background in code. It's a low code. It's not a no code platform
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this.
That
It
makes sense.
definitely is. But yeah, it's got its own marketplace, its own expert marketplace. It's got all kinds of stuff.
So
So
any other like comparisons or like tools you would add to kind of this basket, like a Adalo Bubble? Is there something you would say, even as a developer, hey, you could go like 90% of the way, and then I would add X thing to this box of tools to like create applications quickly for people? Is there something in there that you would add?
just like in terms of other platforms or just other softwares?
There's softwares, maybe like obviously like we called out Firebase and Supabase would be nice for like the data side of things, but is there something like AI agents? There's totally gonna botch the name. N8N is something, or like a Zapier to like run
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah.
workflows, or is there anything that you would add to kind of your core of like the web application to build a more robust application out of it?
Yeah, so Zapier and Make are going to be probably your two main ones. I believe they have a, like if you do submit, you have yeah, like new integration. You can just basically do browse, popular integrations using Zapier. So they have a very in-depth integration with Zapier already.
Nice.
Make is obviously, formerly Integromat, is one that is obviously a little more advanced and you can do some cooler things with. So those are really going to be your way to kind of tie in a lot of things. But like I mentioned, you can tie in, you can link, before Adalo had this 2.0 responsive engine. What I was actually doing was building the web apps in Bubble and then the native apps in Adalo and then connecting them using the API.
Okay.
Which I was like, oh, I'm glad that I can just do it all in one place now. Are you familiar with like ClickFunnels or Go High Level at all?
Slightly, yeah. I've spent a little bit of time on the marketing side.
Yeah, they're more like, yeah, they're a marketing software, right? So basically, I'm gonna do a shameless plug here, but like basically we have this software which is a white label version of Go High Level, and it is called Launchpad. And it's basically meant to connect directly with Adalo through just a singular API key. And basically, so if you have users signing up in your app, you can then basically zap them over into this and enroll them in marketing sequences, upgrade paywall sequences.
Nice.
They can communicate back and forth, the whole 9 yards there. And then you have just ways that you can do that. So there's a lot of tools like that. And I built that because I saw the need for it when we would launch things. People were like, I don't know how to market and I don't know how to sell this stuff. It's like, okay, well, here you go. You can do your email marketing. You can do a website with this. You can do funnels. You can do invoicing. You can do whatever the heck you want,
That's dope. Yeah,
Um,
it's amazing how much just like API access or like connectivity across all of these apps there is now. Like back when I first started writing like PHP based just regular pages of boringness, it's hard, I think, as a developer, at least one that's like been around as long as I have, to go mentally to shift out of like, no, this is how you do things, because it was always like code and like takes a long time and yada yada. And now there's Webflow, there's Adalo, there's you name it, and there's so much more capability there. The part I still struggle with as a developer is I want access and the capability to change and touch everything. And I
mhm.
think that these tools have come so far already at this point that you can connect things together so well. I don't know if there's a barrier there anymore. And so, and this is me, just getting done typing up a Next.js complete application. So, like, there's this time period right now we're in, both like no code, low code stuff going on, but now you also have AI coming into play where like how much further is that going to take things, and it's super fun, I think, to be in this space at this time. So we'll see where it all shakes out.
Yeah. It's been really interesting. And, I even have people say like all the time, they'll message me and they'll be like, well, hey, I've could you build something like I have this dashboard idea, and I've been using Lovable, and I'm like trying to make it work, and I'm like, what the heck is Lovable? You know? And then sure enough, I look it up, and I'm like, holy crap! Like that looks like a really, really cool tool. You know? It's just like every single day there's a new thing. Every
know, it's
single
crazy.
freaking week, it's like there's a new. You can't even keep up with it all. You know?
Yeah.
It's like the gold rush right now, man. It's unbelievable. It
Yeah.
really is.
I think you might be a little younger than me, but like back in the .com bubble days, like I was just finishing high school, and like it was so exciting. Like everything was new, everything was changing, and you know, for the past X amount of years, like we got to a point where it was like, okay, this is all rinse and repeat. And now with AI and no code coming into play, it's just reopened everything. So I think it's super fun all over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap it up there. I need you to like give me some plugs. How can people find you? Some discount codes I think will be released on our site, but tell me just a little bit more how people can get in touch with you, and in case they want their own site.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll put this site up here before I stop sharing. Dappernocode.com. This has basically all this different stuff. I got Academy here. We got a portfolio, a podcast, a resource library. You can book an appointment with me. I always, and just because you book an appointment doesn't mean like, you know, I'm going to try to sell you something. Like if you're looking to like learn how to build no code stuff, I'd love to talk with you. Like I'd love to share all this with you, and even just kind of, you know, whether you want to call it mentoring or paying it forward or whatever, I'd be happy to talk with anyone about on any of this stuff. So dappernocode.com. I also have a couple of free things that I'll give you guys in the show notes for this. I'll get with you about that afterwards, Alex. But a lot of these are either in the resource library, but there's, you know, you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I'm just Dan Hafner on LinkedIn. And yeah, I'd love to talk with you guys, and you know, kind of meet anyone who's interested in this topic at all. So thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. We'll have you on again.
All right, Alex. Thank you.